Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Business of Forging Agreement. I am Lenore Sterner, and I'm here with John Worthington, and we are going to have some real good discussions tonight. Remember to please, if you like what you see, like and subscribe and follow. And if you have anything you want to say, leave a comment. How are you doing tonight, John?
As per usual, I couldn't be any better. How are you doing tonight, Lenore?
Doing pretty wonderful, actually.
Well, see, there we go.
So, John, tonight
Yes,
I wanted to ask you about not doing.
ma'am. You want to ask about not doing, huh?
Yes.
Okay, fair enough. So, first of all, what is doing?
Hmm.
See, if you take for a moment and you stop and you say, okay, what is it I'm doing? Okay. Like, for instance, you asked me about a relationship idea the other day, I think. We were talking about something else, and this relationship idea came up, as I recall. And it was something about something that you were accepting, etc., which could also be said is that something that you were doing. And so not doing would be something that would not do that thing that you're doing. It doesn't mean that you would be not doing that thing. You would be doing something else that would cancel that thing. So for instance, when you think about the men in your family and the men that you've known in your life, and some of them have been pretty rude and crude, right?
Yes.
Okay. And so when you think about them, you have a tendency to put them all in a single type of basket, right?
Yeah.
Okay. That's something that you do.
Okay.
Okay. So what would be a not doing of that thing would be the question, right? So to give you an example of this, this is not to tell you to not do it. This is something for you, but to give you an example, okay?
Okay.
So it's up close and personal, okay? So when you think about those rude and crude guys, rather than say, okay, I either have to appease them and put up with them, or make them happy, or I have to resist them. And there's somewhere in between, perhaps, that works much better, where you defeat them, but yet you don't beat them up or beat you up, let's say.
Mm.
Does that
Okay.
make sense? Does that make sense or not?
Yeah, I think it does because I know we've talked a lot about just doing something different and
Yeah, but that's not the same thing. Here's one from this is one from the Dyad class that I keep bringing up, I think. Uh, and I think this is a quote from a long, long time ago from Rumi, I think it is, if I recall correctly. Uh, Out beyond right doing and wrong doing, there's a field. I'll meet you there. Okay, that's a not doing of, it's your fault. No, it's my fault. I couldn't do it. Why didn't you do this? You should have done that. How could you have done that? All of those things, okay? That's a not doing of all those things. Because what happens is you go out beyond where there's any right doing and wrong doing, and you sit down and you talk about things as though there aren't any things that are done wrong or done right. They were just things that were done. Neither right or wrong. Do they work? Do they don't work? Okay, cool. If they don't work, let's adjust them. If they do work, well, great. Let's amplify them. Okay, now that's really the idea here of a whole lot of stuff, because that really provides a not doing of that right wrong dichotomy. Do you understand what I'm saying about that or not?
I don't, and I'm still not sure what I'm missing here.
Okay, well Why don't you kind of walk me through it so we can see?
Okay. So the thing that is popping into my mind when you're talking about this is like a number line. And I'm thinking about, okay, in between 1 and 2, there's a lot of other numbers in between. That's
Mm-hmm.
what's popping into my head when I'm thinking about this. Is that accurate? Is that
Well, not even in the same ballpark.
okay? So I'm way out of this. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Well, okay, okay. Here, let's make it more graphic for you. Okay, here
Okay.
we go. Okay, when you go to the store to buy clothes, do you have to buy clothes that fit below or fit above? Which one do you have most trouble with?
Both.
Okay, okay, but why would you have trouble with either one? They're too small, too big. What is it?
Um,
The top's too little. If the bottom's too big, whatever.
yes.
Okay, what happens for you then, really? I mean, what one do you have the most trouble with?
Usually buying pants.
Okay, fine. So if I translated that for you, I would say that you are having trouble with showing off your butt. Okay, let's just say it that way. Okay, I'm
Okay.
not I'm not trying to be smart with you or anything. I'm just saying, okay, as a lady, when you look in the mirror, you turn around and you kind of check to see whether that thing is sticking out there the way you want it to stick out there and doing what you want it to do. I mean, that's a good thing for you to do. Yeah. Okay. Now, do do you do that on purpose or do you not do that on purpose? See, neither one of them are right or wrong. It's just a matter of which one do you opt for?
Doing. Doing it I'm because if I was not doing, I would be
No, no, no. This is not
okay.
conscious. This is not
Okay.
conscious. This is an unconscious thing. I want to know what I see. Doing is not a conscious thing. Again, doing is an unconscious thing. It's a function, remember?
Hmm.
Okay, not doing is the tool for what function exactly? Okay, there's a doing that's a function, right? So there's a not doing now that releases an energy of what? Of the natural mind function, if you recall correctly, okay? Or if I
Okay.
recall correctly, perhaps, okay? So anyway, what we're trying to accomplish here is we're trying to say, okay, what is it actually that I think with? With my judgment or with what's actually there?
Hmm.
Okay, so the reason why I used your anatomy for this is because this is something that girls often struggle with, okay? Is that they
Mhm.
say, well, yes, I think that derriere back there is gorgeous, but I don't let anybody really see it because what would they think if I was showing off my gorgeous derriere and people would be looking and that's I can't do that. Well, no, I mean girls struggle with that sometimes, do they
Mhm.
not? Okay,
Yeah.
so what would be a not doing of that struggle? It would be say, okay, you know what? I have a gorgeous derriere and I'm showing it to everybody. That would be an example. I'm not telling you to do that. I'm just saying that would be an example of a not doing. Because that would allow that lady to say, okay, it's really there and I really like that and I like the attention it gets me and so forth. And so that's what's natural to me.
Oh, okay. And that's where the natural mind function part comes in.
Yes, they're related, you see. They have to be because you're releasing the energy that's governed by the natural mind function. I mean, not doing it. None of these tools and functions exist in isolation, kid.
Hmm. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So why don't we talk about natural mind a little bit so that anybody who's watching knows what the heck we're talking about?
Yeah. Okay. All right. Natural mind function is the geographic area where harmony has to exist. Okay. So to speak. Okay, that would be a way of be a way of talking about it. Okay, that's not true. It's just a way of talking about it. It's a way of visualizing this concept. Okay.
Okay.
So here's the thing, that here in the center of your natural mind function lives the function of harmony within the world, or within people, or between you and someone else. Okay, that's where that lives. Okay, so you start off with being at one with yourself, and then you have to move on to being in harmony with somebody else. Okay, so while you're being at one with yourself, you want to be you being at one means that you find and practice your specific function. Being in harmony with other people means that you use your natural mind functions, or function, to maintain that harmony with someone else, kind of as a counterbalance to a specific function. Okay, I can do this thing over here, but I know that you can do that thing over there. And so how do I stay in harmony with you so I can take advantage of that thing that you do, and you could take advantage of that thing that I do? See, that's a natural mind function. It is not a natural mind function to kick your feet and stomp them around and jump up and down and scream and say, "You are a lib," or "You're a Republican. You're a redneck." No, I'm not. I'm a cracker. That's different. Okay, you see what I'm talking about? I mean, those are silly things that we do to ourselves, right? Because that doesn't allow us to be in harmony with anyone. So somebody who's doing that has yet to be able to become at one with themselves. That doesn't make them a bad person. It means that they're struggling to find out what it is that they do. They're looking for what it is. They're saying, I am so damn frustrated that it must be your fault that I can't find this. Okay, that's because they can't find it within themselves. Hell, it's hidden from them. They can't see what they're looking with. It really puts this whole idea puts people in a really bad place from that perspective. If you can think about it from there. Okay. Now, natural mind function is to take that into account. Is to say, okay, I see. Those are things that actually happen for me, for anybody. Okay, anywhere that actually happens. And so I have to apply that idea of ruthless, patient, cunning, and sweet to that idea of natural mind function, and say, okay, how do I actually think about this? How do I actually express this concept? Not that I'm deciding how to do it, but what comes out of me naturally? What comes out of me without me filtering it?
Okay. All right.
Okay. See, when I filter it, it's no longer a natural mind function, right? Okay. When I don't filter it, then that's what it is. It's a natural mind function, and it comes out good, bad, or ugly. That's what it does. Okay. It comes out. Sometimes we say things that we wish that we hadn't, but we don't say that we don't mean it. We do. But it comes out from the very depths of who we are, and we express this thing that we're concerned about, right? You with? Now, most of the time, people, when you ask them about stuff like that, it scares the bejesus out of them. I mean, it really does. It scares them pretty bad, because you're talking about things that they can't look at. And that's part of the thing about natural mind function, because it deals with what is actually there.
So you can't look at it through a filter.
Well, you wouldn't be looking at what's really there, then, would you?
No, you would be looking at a fantasy.
Okay, so here we go. So you've got that little baby girl that looks like an avocado, on Halloween at least.
Yes.
Okay, and so let me ask you about that little girl. Are there times when you can just kind of kid her and say that she's really not hungry and she really isn't wet, and so she should just lay down and go to sleep and shut up and leave you alone?
No,
Oh, you can't do that, you mean?
no, I can't.
No, you can't. Because you see, that's the problem. See, you can't, you have to not do what you have always done in terms of personal responsibility when it comes to that baby, right?
Right. Yes.
Because all of a sudden that responsibility isn't personal, it's hers. You are responsible for that little kid because she can't be responsible for herself. So her mommy has to be responsible for her. And we would hope that her daddy would also have to be responsible for her, even though he sometimes struggles with that, it would appear. So what? The thing is that he's struggling with it. He's actually looking at it. He's wrestling it down. That's how he's not doing his childishness.
Okay.
Okay. Has he achieved it yet? Probably not all the way. Do you ever? Maybe. I don't know. Maybe maybe eventually. I don't know. But the thing is that we try to not do those habitual things that we always do in our relationships so that we can express our natural mind function in that relationship. That natural mind function is going to be way lots happier than that whole thing of saying, well, I don't have to do this, I can't do that, you can't make me, etc. None of that's going to make any difference. All that's going to make it is an argument. So if we get out past that right doing and wrong doing, out to that field where none of that stuff matters, what begins to happen for us is we begin to say, okay, what do I really think about this event? And here's what I really think. What do you really think about this event? Wow, I didn't know that you really thought about it that way. Okay, well, let me take that into account. Let me understand this. Tell me why you think about it that way. Rather than say, how dare you're one of them? Oh my God, you think about things that way, you shameful person. You're not even human. Take me back to Planet of the Apes. Oh my God, Charlton, where are you?
Yeah, because one thing that I'm thinking about here too is that right now there is a ton of divisiveness in the world that people have.
Sweetie, wait a second here. It's always been there.
Okay.
Look, we just have the opportunity to express it on Facebook and on Tumblr and on Bumblebee and all those other wonderful places where we can go say all those nasty things to each other, right? It's not that we haven't always thought about that. It isn't that we haven't always talked that way. It's that we have a louder microphone now. I mean, come on, you live in NEPA.
Yeah.
Okay. Then you've heard terms like and Mexicans and all that kind of stuff. And those terms were not used in a kind and loving manner.
No.
They were used in a derogatory, I'm better than you kind of way. Kiddo, that's always existed there. The Irish used to be treated that way. The Russians were treated that way. The Lithuanians and Ukrainians, they were all treated that way. When they came to mine the coal, they were treated that way. They just were. Okay, that's part of how people behave. Now, here's the thing. If we continue to behave that way, kiddo, we're going to kill ourselves, okay, somehow or the other. It doesn't make any difference how. Whether we choke the planet to death or whether we bomb ourselves to death or whether we just starve ourselves to death or whatever we do, right? Or we change the climate to the place that to the point we can't live here anymore, whatever. That doesn't make any difference. For us to survive as a life form, we're actually going to have to do things differently. We're actually going to have to acknowledge the effect or the functions of the other in our lives somehow or the other. We're going to have to get to that place. I don't care whether you believe in that shit or not. It doesn't make any difference to what we have to do. I don't believe in sandbags. Well, I don't care whether you believe in sandbags or not. That's all we got to hold back the flood, dude. So get the hump in it there, huh? Okay, everybody has to try to get these sandbags over here on place so we keep the river on that side of town there. We don't want it on our side of town because it does bad things when it gets over here. So we all have to work together to stem that tide, as it were, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, then we all have to work together to stem this tide as well, I think, kid. And I think that the first order of business is to understand how practical it is to make agreements as opposed to, well, let's say, fighting about them.
Yes.
Well, what can I say? I mean, in my experience, people like to fight rather than pick agreements. I mean, they really like that. It's truly amazing. I mean, people given the opportunity or given the option of picking an agreement or picking an argument, they'll pick an argument almost every time. It's really difficult for people to pick agreements. The reason is because they want to control them. Well, how are you going to control an agreement? I mean, that's the nature of it, is that you submit to the things that the agreement requires. Let me explain this not doing to you from this perspective, okay? Look.
Okay.
Once upon a time, I may have told this story before on these chats here someplace, but it bears repeating here at this juncture. Once upon a time, I worked with a company that put in underground piping, which meant that every now and then we had to go fix that underground pipe that's broken. Now, you've got to understand that underground pipes are like 8 inches and 10 inches in size. They're heavy pieces of pipe made of cast iron usually. Or they were those days. They probably made plastic now. But that cast iron, if it's hit with a rock or something, breaks because it's pretty brittle. You can just break a hole right in it. Right? And so sometimes when it gets cold, that water inside freezes, and when it does, it just breaks that brittle pipe. Okay, and it can be in a place and it get cold in that one particular place, and maybe it's a valve or something, and it just gets cold because it's too open, and the pipes break. And so I was a pretty young kid at that time. I was maybe in my 18, 19, 20 years old maybe, and I was working with this company, and they said we had to go do this. When we got there, it was in Virginia, up in the mountains in Virginia, and it was damn, there was snow on the ground, and the water was frozen in the hole, and they dug it out, and you could see there was about, it was over knee deep in water in there, and so it was cold and frozen and so forth, and everybody looked around, and I said, okay, I see, I'm the low man on the totem pole, so part of the agreement is I had to get in that damn water, and I hate cold water. I absolutely detest cold. I don't like cold at all. Cold, that's for Eskimos, and I'm not one. I'm just not an Eskimo. So anyway, there I am in this water because that's part of the agreement. And so I had to not do my natural thing of saying, oh, I'm cold. I don't like cold. I don't want to do that. Because, see, I had to ride back with those guys, and it was a long ride. It was like 5 or 6 hours back to where we had to go, back up to home. And if I didn't get in there, they were not going to be kind to me on the return trip either. With reason, they shouldn't be. Okay? Because I would not have fulfilled my part of the agreement because I didn't know what else to do except to get the water out of there. That was my skill set that morning. I didn't know how to fix that pipe. So I had to not do my self-importance.
Mm. Yeah, the self-importance one, I know that's kicked me in the butt way too many times. And I'm sure it kicks a lot of people in the butt.
It does, okay, because we don't see it. I mean, people don't get up in the morning and say, okay, I'm going to go down to the office and be self-important. They may do that, but that doesn't mean they get up in the morning planning it. They don't, because they can't see that they're doing it. Okay, they can't see what they're looking with, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, whenever somebody's being self-important and you say, well, you know, hey, you're being self-important, it doesn't help. See, how can that help anybody, right?
It wouldn't, no.
Do you know why it wouldn't?
Well, I know for me, if somebody had said, "Oh, you're being self-important," I would be, "Well, screw you. I'm not being self-important. What are you talking about?" Because I can't see it.
In other words, you would defend whatever you thought you were doing, really.
Yes.
But you wouldn't have thought it was self-importance because you can't see that. That's what you're looking with, right?
Right.
Okay. However, if somebody had said, "Hey, Lenore, have you ever thought about how your baby's going to see this particular action that you do?" See, that'll get your attention from an entirely different place, right?
Mm-hmm.
See, that would not be doing the confrontation thing that you like so much. I mean, don't feel bad about. I mean, I can see why you like confrontation because that's one of the ways you hold off those rude and crude guys that you know.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but maybe there's a better way to do that. Maybe there's an easier way. Maybe there's a more, what can we say, a more advantageous way of doing that. It could happen. You don't know. That
This
doesn't
has
look
been,
okay. Go ahead.
this is just these conversations. I just get to a point where I'm just like, wow, that's wow. And then I'm like, woo, everything I was thinking about out of my head.
Is that an evasion, or is that because your head just got too full and exploded? I don't know. I don't know what you just told me.
I would say it's
I'm a boomer, remember? So I don't follow what it is you're talking about necessarily.
I would say yes, it is an evasion because
Okay. Because you like to evade things? No. So a penny for your thoughts is how it usually is asked.
yeah. Okay. So if we treat everything that you're saying here about not doing as if true,
Mhm.
then, well, one thing just popped into my head is that actually actually treating this as if true would be a not do for me.
I would imagine it'd be a not do for a lot of people when you get right down to it, kid. So okay. Here's the thing. This is one of those concepts that you read it, and you think about it, you think you understand it, right? And so when you go to put it in use, the first few times that you try to put it in use, you say, okay, well, I'm not going to do that thing, as though that's the end of it. I'm not doing that. Well, what are you doing? Well, I'm not doing anything. Well, then you're not. Then that's not a not do. That's you being lazy, or that's ignoring the problem, or that I don't know something. It's not. It's we can't call it a not doing. Okay, a not doing it has to be an activity. By definition, it has to be an activity that you consider, that you think about, that countermands in some way or the other what you normally do, or it counterbalances what in somehow or the other what you normally do, or it I don't know. It's not what you normally do. It's a not doing of that thing. Okay, some of them are pretty straightforward. It's like a young man I know that lies about everything. A not doing for him would be to tell the truth. Okay, they're not all that dichotometrically clear. Okay, they're not really all that balanced. Sometimes they rhyme, but they're not balanced at all. Okay, sometimes it's like, oh shit, yeah, I guess that's how I would not do that. Then, damn. I mean, some of them are really like that. It's like you have to, everybody does those things differently, and there's not really any way that I can tell you how to do any given not doing, because you're the one that has to decide what that is, because I don't know what it is that you've decided that gets you to do the thing to begin with. Did your head explode again? Maybe I should slow that down.
No, I just thought about it that, like, I think one of the arguments that I've been making here is trying to say that a not doing is a dichotomy.
Yeah, that's not true. You're right. That's not true.
So then if we eliminate the dichotomy idea there,
Yeah. If we eliminate the dichotomy idea, yeah,
then
what would we do? See, it needs to balance that other thing.
so a not do for me was during the pandemic when I suddenly couldn't work 80 hours a week.
Yeah, that really was a not doing for you in lots of ways. I think is true. Yeah. Okay. Let's see if we can't make it a little bit more up close and personal, so that other people can see it too. Can we do that?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see if we can construct one of these so you can see that. All right. All right. The other day you told me, I think you said that your dad called you and he wanted you to go talk to your mom about something. Yeah. Okay. He wanted you to take care of your mom. She's off in crazy land, and you can fix her, right? Kind of like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What would be the not doing of that?
I'm not doing.
First of all, what's the doing?
Well, the doing is what I did, which was talk to my mom for my dad. And in that scenario, what I did was say, "Okay, Daddy, I'll go take care of Mommy. No problem."
Okay, but that sounded like the surface of it. That sounded like what was on the computer screen. What was the code?
The code was, the code was me basically.
May I suggest one?
Sure.
Okay, don't make Daddy mad. Here comes your father. Don't upset your father. Don't tell your dad.
Oh. Yeah, I never. Okay, all
I'm
right.
quicker than I thought, huh?
That's pretty accurate. Okay.
Okay. What would be the not doing of that, kid?
Well, I think the not doing would be to tell my dad to talk to his wife and
Excuse me. See, that's the same doing.
okay.
That's still trying to make somebody happy, right?
Yeah.
That's still
Okay.
making sure. That's making sure that you're the one who controls the bad news, actually.
Hmm. Okay.
So, what would be the not doing of that?
Would it be to just ignore him?
No, that's just being lazy. That's not a not doing.
Okay.
What if you stopped and you said, "Hey, Dad, you always call me to do this for you, and in reality, all I'm going to do is I'm going to make mom look the other way for a few minutes, and you guys go back and do the same thing again like you always do." If that were the case, for instance. So how about you change your attitude about this right here, like as if you're a grown person now?
Hmm. Okay.
What are you agreeing to there? Or was that okay?
Well, oh, John, you always ask the questions that. um. Well, I think rather than continue to argue by evade, the best thing for me to do here is to pick the agreement that I can actually not
Okay,
do.
no, there's not. Okay, stop for a second. I'm
Okay.
not offering you any agreement because no one can agree with you about this. It's something that you either have the intestinal fortitude to do or you don't. It's not a judgmental call. It's not a moral issue. It's actually a perception of beauty. And you've got to see where you're a beautiful person. You got to see where your dad's a beautiful person. And you got to see where your mom's a beautiful person. And you got to see where everybody's struggling to express that beauty. That would be a not doing in northeastern Pennsylvania where everybody's trying to put everybody else down, right?
Right.
I mean, think about it. What is your dad doing? Your mother's acting crazy. Why don't you go over there and take care of her? Now, I put accents in it in places so that other people could hear it, okay? But I mean, he doesn't tell you that way, right?
Hmm.
I mean, he's much more subtle than what I just said it, right?
Hmm.
Okay. Yet that probably describes in many ways the things that are the exchange between you and he over this particular issue.
Hmm.
Okay, now here's the thing. Does it make a damn bit of difference whether you tell him or not? Not really. It isn't like he's going to change anything. It isn't like your mom's going to change anything. So why are you carrying their water? Is the question. See, the not doing would then be for you to carry your own water as opposed to carrying the water that belongs to somebody else. Because you can only be responsible for you, see? You can't be
Hmm.
responsible for your mom, you can't be responsible for your dad. If they have to go pee, they have to do it themselves. You can't do it for them. Because
Hmm.
that's what responsibility, that would be a way to look at responsibility, actually, yeah?
Hmm. Yes.
Okay, all right. See, look, here's the thing. I'm not trying to tell you what to do with your daddy or with your mommy or anything else, but I am trying to tell you, look, you need to stop and think about what you're doing. How do you respect you? Not that you're wrong. I don't think that you're wrong. I don't think you're being a bad girl. I don't think you're being disrespectful to yourself necessarily or anything like that. But I think that you need to stop and say, okay, do I need to tweak this over here, just right there, that one little corner there a little bit, or do I need to take this all out and wash it out really good because it's kind of stinky? Maybe I need to take it and get it some fresh air. What is it you need to do? See, that's the actual question, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because this is a personal thing for you. For you, that's what not doing is. It's about how you think about things, you yourself. It's how your energy configurations express in the world. Actually, would be perhaps a better way of saying it. I don't know that it means anything more, but it's an accurate statement.
Okay.
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 So not doing, not doing is doing something that. See, and not doing would be something like that would countermand the things that you normally do, or would counterbalance what you normally do, or would somehow or the other, uh, shall we say, uh, cancel what you normally do in places. In other words, it would be an equal weight, so that you wouldn't end up with a weight one way or the other, for instance. And sometimes you want to wait another way, not the way that it normally goes. Okay, and so it really depends personally on how you see the world, not on what anybody else thinks. That's the nice thing about not doing.
Hmm.
It's personal. It's like programming. It's personal.
Okay. I believe I'm with.
See, it's like specific function is a personal thing for you or for me, right? It's whatever
Right.
you or anybody does. Okay, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it's it's not a very Zen type of idea, but it's still there, right? It's still the same thing. It's like, look, we all do these things that we um, we all do these things where we um, well, we do them in our unique style. In other words, let me say it this way. You scramble eggs differently than what anybody else in the world probably scrambles eggs, although you may share many characteristics of how you scramble eggs, right? But you do you do that in your style.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Anybody who plays an instrument, they always try to find their style or their sound in that instrument. And you can hear them play that thing.
John, somebody left a comment saying that they have a question for us.
Okay, wonder what the question is.
What is the question?
Well, I don't know. You have to look it up.
Yeah, they gotta get back to us. They just asked,
Oh,
"Can I ask a question?"
of course you can.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes, please. What does that say? Your thoughts on children not being allowed to go to school unless they're vaccinated. Thoughts on legal what?
What is that last word there?
I don't know what that word is. Well, probably legal consequences. Well, here's the thing. I don't know if you can still see this or not, but I've got this little round thing right over here that's a polio vaccine, and I got that when I was a kid. And one of the reasons I got that is because I have a cousin, Joanne, that still can't pick, until she died, she couldn't pick up a cup really because she got polio and it affected her arms. And I looked at that, and I looked at that little round thing on my arm there, and my parents did the same thing, and they said, well, that makes pretty good sense. Now, I don't know how people think about these things, but not too awful long ago, my friend Sandy passed away. She didn't die from COVID, but she died from COVID-like symptoms because the disease that she had didn't allow her to have enough oxygen in her lungs, and so it caused her to have a heart attack and to pass away. She was 42. I know of another young man that was about that same age that died about 4 days before she did, died of COVID, and he had just gone to a restaurant to eat, and he went with somebody else, and they sat and they talked with some people from out of the country here in Mexico, and one of them was a COVID carrier, or maybe all of them were COVID carriers, and that young man got COVID and he passed away, and his partner doesn't still know what to do because she held his hand and realized that no one was there anymore. I don't think that any parents really want to do that with their kids. I don't want to do it with my kids, and my kids are all grown. I don't want to do that with anybody. It was bad enough to do that with my friend, and she didn't even have COVID. So I look at that and I say, well, yeah, it kind of growls at you about the government telling you that you shouldn't do, or you should or shouldn't do, but there's such a thing as common sense, or horse sense, as we'd say in EPA. Okay, and so, if I have a choice between my kid getting a vaccination and holding his hand and realizing nobody's there, even the possibility of that happening, I don't want to go down that road. I don't, if my kid gets sick, I want to know in my mind that I've done everything I can to make sure that he can survive it. Mm-hmm. Now, is that a question about freedom, or whether somebody has the right to or not the right to, or the government can or can't tell you what you should or shouldn't do? I don't know. To tell you the truth, I don't really care whether that's an issue or not. For me personally, I think that child's survival is the most important thing that there is. And if I can do that thing, let me explain it this way. When I first came to Mexico, I was really surprised by some of the cultural reliance, or whatever you want. It's not reliance really, but the cultural acceptance of these. They're called curanderos. Okay, they're people who do things that cure other people. Some of them do some massages, and there's all kinds of stuff. And so I was talking to an engineer friend of mine about that very thing, and I said, I don't think I understand about that really. I said, I'm not arguing about it, I don't understand it. He said, okay, John. He said, let me see if I can explain it. He said, my dad had cancer. We took him to the hospital, and one of my brothers is a doctor. The other brother's a doctor, and they had him both. They both had him, and they did everything they could do for him. He was still losing his battle. I took him to see the curandero. What was I going to lose? Do I believe in it? Fuck no, I don't believe in that. But you know what? I didn't have to believe in it. I had to take my dad there to say, Dad, you know what? I have to do everything I can to make sure that you're still with me. Is it crazy? Yeah, it's certifiable. Is it necessary? Absolutely. Yep. If that was an option, if that was a possibility, even a remote possibility, he had to take his dad there. So this person who asked, I'm sure that they love their kids. I have no doubt. We're hardwired. We have to love our kids. And so if I love my children, then I kind of have to say that, well, I got to give them a chance. I got to give them a fighting chance. I don't care that the government's trying to make me do it. What the hell? They can't make me do it. I'm doing it because I want to, because that's my kid right there. And I want him to have every chance he has, that he can have. So I see, I don't think it's an issue about freedom or not. I think it's an issue about whether or not I want my kid to hold my kid's hand or ever even have the possibility of holding my kid's hand and say there's nobody there.
Yeah, I know that I'm vaccinated for my child and also for my grandparents. I want to protect them too.
Yep. Well, so, look, I don't hold it against people for getting confused or maybe not even confused about it. I just can't really say that somebody's wrong because they say, oh, I can't do that because I'm being forced to. Okay, I can't say they're wrong about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I just that I don't think that they are. But at the same time, even though I don't think they're wrong about it, I also have to realize that, if it's me and it's my kids or my grandkids, I'm taking them to get them vaccinated because I can't stand the thought of losing them.
Mm-hmm.
That's not acceptable. So that kind of takes the choice out of it for me.
Mm-hmm.
Now, is that a not doing? Maybe it's a not doing of my righteousness or my rightness or something of that nature. Or maybe it's a not doing of my you can't tell me's or my rebellion. It could be any of those things. and I don't think there's any of them that are right or wrong. I just don't think so. I'm a proponent of getting out past the right doing and wrong doing
Mm-hmm.
and sitting down and talking about what really has to be done here. And if a kid's kind of sniffly like and so forth, then what the hell? Take him and get him a shot. If you got asthma, take him and get him a shot. If you really think that he can survive it, okay, then I agree. That makes sense because he's going to have to survive in this world with COVID. There's no doubt about it. I understand that. But if the school has to have that in order to protect the rest of those sniffly ass kids, then get it done. What's the problem? It isn't for those other kids really. It's for yours. It isn't because the government says it. So that your kid. So you don't have to sit there and hold your kid's hand and say he's not there anymore. That's what it's about.
Mm-hmm. Alrighty. Well,
That's kind of a morbid kind of ending, isn't it?
yeah, just a little bit, but once
Well, it was. Look. Here's the thing. I think it's a fair question, and I think it's something that people think a lot about. I really do think that. All right, and I can't say that they're wrong about it. I mean, I've seen the school board meetings and so forth, and it's like, come on, guys, back it down a little bit. The world hasn't ended. Really, it just check it out. The world has not ended. So, if your child gets vaccinated, that's good. What the hell? How about you getting vaccinated? You don't want your kid to watch you laying there in the hospital bed so you can't breathe anymore either, right? Is it 100% guaranteed? No, it isn't. Colin Powell was vaccinated and he died anyway, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right. I mean, sometimes your body gives up on you, and goddamn, I've lived in a retirement community here for a few years, and I can tell you that sometimes that just happens to people, no matter how careful they are and so forth. It just comes to a time and they're gone. Okay, that's true. But if it's preventable, then we ought to do that. I mean, that's the reason why we all wear seat belts and we all buy insurance and we all have our cars inspected. And in most places, we're supposed to wear helmets when we're riding a motorcycle around because, well, it's dangerous not to.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, I've watched this. I've watched somebody lay in a hospital hallway for 2 weeks or 3 weeks or 4 weeks with irreparable brain damage, waiting for somebody to say, "Okay, pull the plug on them," because they didn't wear a helmet when they were riding their motorcycle. Well, is it his right? Yeah, it is. Is it his right to make people take care of him for 2 or 3 weeks while he's pretty much brain dead? No, no, he doesn't have that right. Wear the fucking helmet. What the hell?
Mm-hmm.
Same thing's true for the I don't have I did I had measles when I was a kid. I had mumps when I was a kid. Those things have been pretty much eradicated now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they didn't kill me, but they killed some kids.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think I had chicken pox. I never had chicken pox. I got a vaccination for that. I never had chicken pox. I think I had 2 or 3 different kinds of measles, though. I can still remember how it feels on your stomach when you have the measles. It's got that. It's just a certain kind of oily type of. Look how I feel. How I feel.
Ew. That doesn't sound pleasant. I did have chicken pox though. That was oof.
Oh yeah. Well, see, I missed on that one, and I was just as happy not to do that. Okay, so anyway, Lenore, this not doing thing is not as difficult as what people make it out to be, I guess, huh? It's just a matter of don't do those habits. Do something else instead. That way you'll see how you actually think,
Mm-hmm.
because you'll have to come up with another way of doing it that you didn't do normally. So just that alone is going to make you have to think about it different, right?
Could you repeat that? You broke up a little bit.
Okay. If you do something differently, okay,
Mm-hmm.
anything, I don't care what it is. If you do something differently, well, that means that you pretty much have to learn what that thing is from scratch again, right? So that means that you have to use your natural mind function to figure out what that is, because your habit is what's supporting that thing that you're doing now, and you've thought about that lots. So if you do something different, you got to think about something new, right? Wow.
Well, John, this has been a wonderful talk as always.
Oh, you're easy.
And so, if you like what you hear, please subscribe to the channel and turn on your notifications so you know the next time John Worthington goes live, and you can hear some more of these riveting conversations.
I'm not sure about the riveting part. It's just, well, to you they're riveting, but to other people they may not be. I don't know. But then I'm only talking to you anyway. So.
And then also check out John's Dyad Workshop. The link will be in the description below.
Wow. Okay. All right, Lenore. Thanks a lot, kiddo. And I guess we'll see you next Monday night.
Next Monday night, same time, same place.
Wow. Check that out. All right. So we'll see you then.
See you then. Good night.
Good night.